Welcome to Made for Mondays, the source for digging a little deeper into the Believers Church Sunday messages and finding ways to apply them to our daily lives. Together, let's take a deeper look and find a way to bring Mondays back.
Hey everybody, welcome to the pod. My name is Heather, and who's with me today?
Howdy, Heather. It's me, Jamie.
Hello.
Hello, it's Adrian.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Joe here.
So glad to have everybody with us.
Yeah.
What
Happy
did
to
you
be
do
here.
this weekend? Anything fun?
So Friday night, you know what a homebody I am.
Yes.
And I'm asleep by 9:05.
Okay.
And Friday night, I didn't get home till almost midnight.
Party Ammonite.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Crazy. Went to a concert at the amphitheater.
Whoa. Who
super
was
fun.
playing?
Tedeschi Trucks.
Oh, man. What a fun concert.
It was so fun. And what was even more fun is I got a VIP box.
Whoa.
Because of who I went with. Centera provided them with a little VIP treatment.
Yes.
So you get this little... I'll never be able to go back there again.
It ruined it.
It ruined it.
Can't
Yeah,
beat that.
yeah, it was so great.
And no one was like crowding you?
Yeah, no, you have table, chairs,
Yeah.
you almost a recliner. You got a server in there that's bringing food and
Yes.
drinks. It was amazing.
Our first concert after COVID was like that.
Oh yeah,
Well, yeah, I think it was technically after COVID, but it was like still in that mode.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is the way concerts should be all the time.
it truly was incredible, and
Can't
just
believe
so,
I missed that.
and just so fun. It was a great concert.
Yeah, good.
Yep.
What else did you do? You said you had the busiest weekend of your life.
Well, no, I didn't say that. I did have things going on all weekend, but it was not the busiest weekend of my life. Birthday party with friends on Saturday,
Oh, fun.
and that was kind of fun. And then yard work and stuff yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter came by, and we had dinner together, and that's always a treat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good.
I would like to go last if that's okay.
Okay. I'll take the role of Jamie's normal this week.
Nothing?
I didn't do much anything. Saturday was busy, but other than that, didn't do much anything. But Saturday had the free market Saturday morning. One of my favorite events. Love that we've been doing it off site lately at Cherry Middle School. That's
I had
so
lots
fun.
of conversations yesterday of people who went for the very first time and had such a wonderful
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
And
so
even
that was
vendors
great.
that signed up.
Yeah.
Yep. And after that, had to run over to our last T-ball game. Mini Bronx Bombers are done.
Oh.
And
How'd
now
you do?
We did good. We got yelled at by the other team, mom.
Because you were so good.
By the other team mom?
Yeah, because we turned 2 triple plays. And
I mean,
I don't know what that means,
and
but
the second
okay.
one, she was not having it.
that sounds like her team's fault.
That's what I say. Sounds like an A's problem
Was she
to
mad
me.
there was no mercy? Did she think
I
you
guess,
should cap
but-
You weren't
your-
showing
cap
I mean, I
your
was yelling from
talent?
the outfield, throw to one, and they did. Got the third out. But
Is that like not allowed for you to advise?
No, it's still
What was
a
the
lot-
problem?
I heard from their dugout, it's our last game of the season, and our kids don't know the rules. I was like,
Well, that's a coaching problem.
Odd time
They're
to
not
bring
supposed
that
to know
up.
rules like that, but the point of T-ball and that age group is to kind of teach them throughout the year rules that they can learn of the game. It's a tough game to learn, so we've been teaching, and they knew what to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I
But anyway,
mean, a triple play is a very rare occurrence.
it's rare. So again, in T-ball, it's
Twice
It's only.
Are you sure you were awake
They
when
should have
this
taken notes
happened?
the first time.
Right.
Man.
It's all because we caught the ball in the air, which is also a rare occurrence in T-ball.
In
So
for sure.
we called a fly
That
ball.
was lucky.
Yeah, lucky.
That kid was like picking
Yeah.
daisies and the glove was out.
And so we called a fly ball twice, and their runners are just going. They're like all the way home by that point. So we
well,
put it
I
to the
mean,
one.
that's their fault.
Yeah, that's what I say.
Sorry.
That's what I say. But we'll have to deal with that this summer because All Stars start this week. Even we got practice this week for All Stars. So assembling
Well,
the
I mean,
team, tournaments.
T-ball all-stars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you're the coach that has teams that turn triple plays.
Then
So
let's go.
This
I
is
got a
going to
whole
be great.
team of them now too. So the stories will be there.
Yeah.
But that was
Is
it.
Nike sponsoring? Like, what are we looking at?
Yeah,
here
I think so.
for-
I'm still in the works.
right.
Putting
Yeah.
a few feelers out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not just going to take the first one.
Who's your agent talking to?
Yeah.
Is Lee your agent?
Yeah, I guess. But I got.
Doesn't know. That's what that means.
Yes.
I do have one. I hope none of these people are listening, but I do have one.
No one's listening.
I saw
assured.
this one kid's name come through on a nomination, and I immediately passed through like, is he ready for All Stars? Only because his mom is the the best team mom in the entire league. I was like,
Well, I mean, that's
he's
worth
making the
that's
team.
worth something.
I know, he's making the team.
Yeah.
We won't talk about when I ended up being.
Yeah. I was going to say, with the other team mom going after you, it sounded like maybe Heather was the team mom of that team.
That's the worst.
You tried it once and no go.
I don't know what I was
She told me
thinking.
she was doing it. I was like, what?
It seems like you, though.
No.
Right.
She loves
No.
her children, not the presence of other children. So many
That
children.
was a terrible
all amped
idea.
up.
Yeah, it really was.
That was so many years ago.
Yeah, you were being nice.
Let's leave it there.
It's not, you were nice,
Which
but not
is
kind.
I am not a nice person, so I don't know what I was
Hurt
thinking.
yourself.
Yeah.
Trying.
We'll leave it
terrible.
there. What'd you do this weekend?
Let's see. What did I do this weekend? We also were part of a free market. So I was getting stuff ready for that on Friday.
All of your board games
All of
have
them.
been redistributed.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah,
She's
we've
had
had
it.
this like board game cabinet that we have just kept stocked with a bunch of kids games for when we still had, a lot of friends that had little kids. And so when they'd come over, we'd have all those. And I was like, most of our like close friends now, with the exception of Joe's
I guess
kids, like
they'll just play
that
cards
come
or
over. Yeah. Well, now even that, like kids come over and they have their own stuff.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't even think kids that are coming over at this point play with these things anymore. So
Good
I
point.
remember being so
time to
happy
go.
to get rid of all of my kids' stuff.
Yeah.
And I've now rebought
need it.
all
right,
of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Probably should have come to free market.
Yeah, probably should have. Yeah, we don't have any more room, honestly.
That
We're
doesn't
full.
matter.
We're full of
Right.
kid stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. But we've been redoing the front room of our house. So we were doing some of that this weekend.
Nice.
My mom was over for a little bit this weekend.
I saw him. I saw Rita
Yeah.
Sunday.
Doing some of
Didn't
that
get a
kind
chance
of
to talk to her, but I did see her across the room.
Yeah, she sat in the risers solo. She
Wow.
She needed some me time with Jesus.
What about you, Ad?
It was good. My weekend was good. I was at free market. This was my first free market experience.
They had
I
like a
was-
vintage shop set up.
Well,
Bookshelf full of books, clothes rack.
it's all about the presentation
Clearly.
and the salesmanship. I did get a little forceful with Martin Burke. Apologies to the Burke family for forcing a bookcase upon them. But it was so nice. Dimitri came.
Oh,
That
nice.
is my husband, viewer and listener. And he came mostly to keep me from putting anything in the car.
Oh, that's a good call.
Nice.
It did.
Yeah.
I did take 2 books that I brought back in the car.
That's
but
allowed.
otherwise, a little pat on the back. I think I did a good job. And I ran into a couple of people on Sunday who were wearing garments from the free market,
Nice.
including the shirt I held up against Joe and is
Yeah, she's trying
documented
to
for all
force
the
that on me,
time.
too.
On the Instagram, I saw it in
Nice.
the seats
Yeah.
at Believers.
Yeah.
That's great. Super fun. But I would like to go rogue with the rest of my weekend discussion time.
Here we go.
And I would
I
like
don't
to
know
do a
about this,
product
guys.
endorsement. This might be my last time on the pod. I've been here 4 times. It feels like safe space.
Oh,
But the
yikes.
rules.
It's not.
My new favorite drink, Canada Dry, 0 sugar, ginger ale, and lemonade.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Sounds good,
Stevie was
actually.
telling us and my girls about this yesterday.
Magical experience.
That was probably so loud for them.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Who's feeling adventurous?
I love ginger ale.
Try that.
Oh, we did. Ad and I also, as she's doing this, we did go to the Stockley Gardens Arts Festival yesterday, which if you don't make that a regular habit of yours when it's out, you
It's
really should.
wonderful.
It's delightful. Yeah.
It was hot.
It was hot.
wilted flour.
Oh, this smells very sweet, even though it's 0 sugar.
All right,
All right,
settle
cheers.
down. Hold on. We got
geez.
2 more. We got Corey in the house today.
Hi, Corey.
Hey, Corey.
Learning Jeremy's job. Don't worry though, Jeremy's not
Jeremy's
going
here.
anywhere. Away from the electronics, Jeremy.
She is going.
Okay.
rogue.
All right.
All right.
Cheers.
You're not having any?
Oh, I should. That looks weird, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
To Monday.
Oh, that's interesting.
It is sweet.
It is very sweet.
Yeah, it's very nice.
It's tasty.
Uh-huh.
You can
like
get
it.
that
Yeah,
at
not bad.
Harris Teeter. That's the only place I found it so far.
Okay.
Don't tell anybody.
I won't say a word.
Only us
Yeah.
get to know about this.
That's
It's not
right.
bad. Maybe this will get me to actually buy ginger ale. You know, I love ginger ale, and the only time I ever get it is on an airplane. Whatever reason, as soon as they come by,
'Cause
always
it's
ginger ale,
classy.
and it's always so delicious.
Yeah.
But
Short,
that's the
clear
only
glass.
time you get
Yeah,
it?
for whatever reason. And I tell myself every time on the airplane, I'm going to get some of this next time.
I love how much I learn about my teammates on this show. It's so fun.
Oh, man.
Oh,
Joey.
and I went to the Tides game. Well, I tried to go to the Tides game with
they
the
got
B
delayed.
group. Well, I think it got canceled.
No, it didn't.
No, it
went on.
didn't?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rain delay.
Yeah,
delay.
we were there.
The concert was rain delayed also
Oh.
for the same storm.
But you were inside?
No, I mean the amphitheater's outside.
Right, of course. That's what that word means.
Yes.
But there were recliners.
Well, it's
I was
like
in a
part of it
VIP
is
like
under-
little thing.
Yeah.
We
I guess
wouldn't
I'll have
understand.
Yeah, we wouldn't. That's way above my pay grade.
Just know when you go there, you're sitting in the grass. That's,
Got it.
That's all you need to know.
Okay. Wah, wah.
All right. So, we did get to celebrate baptisms yesterday.
Oh, we did.
That was so wonderful.
That's
So
all
much fun.
baptisms.
Yeah, it was so great.
It really was.
The Commons was packed full
Was.
of people.
Yeah, I mean, hundreds of people were getting baptized. I don't know if you saw that. I don't know if you saw that at the end of the service.
that.
At the end of the service, I said, only those getting baptized leave, and hundreds of people left. I was like, wow, this is going to be
my
quite the
gosh.
baptism.
Yeah,
It's
it's-
See all the families go with them and everything.
Yeah.
It's like that plane situation.
It
We
was
have a few people
ridiculous.
on board who have tight connections to make. If everybody would stay seated
And then
for just
everyone's
a moment.
still-
No, I am
Yeah.
the most important person in
Right.
this equation.
Oh, boy.
Oh, people
All
be
right.
people. And
Well, we are continuing, as we do every single week, our Bible reading challenge. We
Yes.
have been in 1st and 2nd Thessalonians.
Yep.
And
So anything.
And
And
today-
a little bit of Psalms.
today, Psalm
Yeah.
46,
And 47.
7. Yeah.
Anything standing out to you?
Yeah, for me, it was today's reading. So it starts with God is our refuge and strength, always ready to help in times of trouble. And then it goes through all of these things that are like chaotic and awful. Earthquakes and mountains crumbling into the sea and oceans foaming and trembling and all these horrible nations in chaos, their kingdoms are crumbling, all these things. But the start of the entire psalm is God is our refuge and strength, always ready to help in times of trouble. And then this list of catastrophes. But the reminder is he is our refuge and
Yeah.
strength. I just thought that was
good.
just so good.
Yeah. And then the end of that chapter is, but I will praise.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
Yeah.
So good.
Mine was I loved reading 1st and 2nd Thessalonians kind of together.
Well, good, because
right
we
there.
have a series on that.
I can't wait.
Coming up.
Can't wait because reading 2nd Thessalonians, I got a little judgmental.
Nope.
I'm sitting
You
there,
got judgmental?
Yeah, a little
All
bit.
right.
Judging them a little bit because I'm like, man, Paul, they're dealing with struggling with being idle. They were confused with his first letter, part of it at least, that around the second coming of Jesus, they thought it was happening immediately, so they went idle, got lazy, I guess, and also dealing with the persecution they were facing. That
Yes.
all led to him sending a second letter.
Right.
And I'm like thinking to myself, man, he just addressed all this in 1 Thessalonians. And so I dug a little deeper, and context around that, between the two books, it's only a few months difference. That actually got me a little more judgmental. I'm like, man, he just sent this letter like a couple months ago.
listening
Dang.
at all?
Right. And then, but this was a church that was like less than a year old, very immature in their faith, new Christians. So,
And not to mention the persecution that they were experiencing was rather intense.
it was intense, but I reread 1 Thessalonians, and he went into depth and used his own persecutions that he was facing as a way to like relate and, teach them to persevere through it and all that.
Yeah. So when people are throwing rocks at you and you've already read 1 Thessalonians,
I'm
I was like,
like-
come on, Joe.
I'm like, I can deal with this. I
Yeah.
got this. I remember what Paul said. But funny you bring that up because after reading some of that context, like my perspective shifted quite a bit. And I just thought like how often we let cultural influence and just life in general get us away from things that we just learned, things that we just talked about. And I think it just pointed me right back to what I was doing even this morning, the first 15, our daily walk with Jesus.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really
that's
good.
really good. Very good. Well, we went into week 5 of What Our World Needs Now series. And Jamie, we were talking about kindness this week. And you started off with this fabulous story of your Airbnb.
Yeah, I had several people ask about the conclusion of the story because I never really did say the bed has been fixed.
Okay.
Trusted friend Joel Hawkins came over and it is secure. Those legs are not going to go anywhere anytime again.
It's probably the best built bed now.
100%.
Well, that's interesting because you said yesterday it had nothing to do with the build.
It did not have anything to do with the build.
But you outsourced the
repair.
The repair.
Yes.
Careful.
Yeah.
He signs
I
your
got you.
paychecks.
And Joel will tell you, because he told me as he was repairing it, the problem was the screws that they provided to secure these legs at the bottom of the bed were not long enough, so they didn't dig deep enough into the wood. So then when it moved, it just stripped right out.
Yeah.
He went to Home Depot and bought some serious bolts.
Over-engineered now.
Yeah.
It's way over-engineered. Yeah, it's
I am
perfect.
sure of that.
And we laughed at that part of the story,
Yes.
but you're right. Things are not built the way
No.
that they used to be built. Yeah.
Very
So
true.
You were
Yeah.
dealing with that too.
So I have a very important question. Have y'all ever stayed in an Airbnb and left anything lower than a 5-star review? Because that's a deal breaker for Airbnb hosts.
Yeah, and most people are unaware of that. And I also had several conversations with people around like if I'm doing anything on a scale of 1 to 5, nothing ever gets a 5.
Well, right.
Because there's always room for improvement. So like my normal go-to would never be to leave a 5-star until
Airbnb.
And then you start to learn that one of the things that I was told to communicate, which I do, is did you know that anything less than a 5-star review is considered a bad review on Airbnb?
It's terrible. The
Wow.
way
there's a weird culture
too,
So you cannot get like superhost status, which is helpful with your algorithms and all that stuff, if you have like less than a 4.8. So I mean, it's crazy high. So anything less than 5 is really not good.
A big deal for your business.
Yeah. So to answer your question, I have. But it was a really terrible experience. So
it was justified.
I feel like it was justified. Like there was like leftovers in the fridge. And
Ew.
Yeah, it was like you could tell like they stayed there yesterday and cleared out so that we could rent the place.
Where was this?
This was in Stanton, Virginia, and we were there for the graduation at JMU, and that's like 40 minutes away, but everything was booked.
Yeah.
So that's how far away we had to go. And I'm pretty sure they were like, hey, opportunity to make a buck during graduation weekend. Man, it was pretty nasty.
Gross.
Yeah.
What about y'all?
I follow-up question, because I am not an Airbnb host, and I would like to know, because I do dabble in the experience from time to time. If I leave a 4-star review, will you not host me? Can you see the consumer's
I can see
track record?
so you can see the review after they have a blind review process. So I review the guest and the guest reviews me, and I can't see their review until I leave them a review, and vice versa.
Vice versa.
So and I don't think you can. You also get, if you decline people, that also pings you.
Oh, okay.
So there's several different factors that ping you.
Wow, it is a very controlled
But you can,
atmosphere.
you can decline people.
Yeah.
Like
there is a person now
host,
that is booked with me several times, like long stays, and then canceled. So the next time they try to book, I will decline them.
Yeah. As a host, you can see someone who's trying to book. You can see their rating, and so you can based on
make
that rating
decisions accordingly.
say, I'm not allowing them to.
Basically an application
Right here.
process
Yeah.
right there. Wow, interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah.
I am a big fan of you've got something in your nose, your zipper is down, that kind of stuff. That's the kind of
very kind
feedback I'm willing to
is.
give. With restaurants and Airbnb type things, I tend to feel like if I'm not willing to personally address a problem, I should not broadcast it anywhere. That's how I do my Google reviews as well, mostly positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the cool thing about Airbnb is like you can leave a public review and then you can also submit like private comments to the host.
Yeah,
so
that's nice.
You can handle stuff privately and tell them stuff.
Yeah, my story is one of conviction, and I'll let you know ahead of time. This was years ago. I'm not nearly the man I am now that would never do this.
You've read 1st and 2nd Thessalonians.
All right, I'm
right.
new, man. I'm ready.
Yeah.
This was not an Airbnb, but very similar. So we were in Charlotte, and we had the best day ever. They have like this long walking trail, and it's full of just like breweries, shops, store, all that stuff. And where we started at a brewery, they had like a gated parking lot, and we stayed there for a while and then did some walking and then we walked past their closing time. And this was our last day in Charlotte. We were leaving the next morning early, and they locked my truck in to their gated parking lot.
Well, they should have, because you weren't there when they closed. Yeah.
Correct. Do you think that was my thought process? No. I jumped on Yelp.
I left
a scathing review on Yelp. And the nicest lady that worked there was just like, look, it's no problem. We're closed. That was the big thing. They're closed tomorrow, so I couldn't go back the next morning. They're closed on Monday, and I was driving back. And I was like, I'm stuck in Charlotte now till Tuesday, and I got an Uber everywhere. But yeah, I left a scathing review, and the nicest lady came back and said, yeah, we are closed tomorrow, but we have several staff people that come there to work on Mondays, and we'll let you in. No problem.
Probably a grandmother you yelled
and
at.
I don't think I've left a bad review since that day.
Well, you did one on the pod. But
Oh, that's right.
Thessalonians coming right back at you, bud.
Man, I told you, conviction.
I know.
It's good for us. It's good for us. Keep saying that.
All right. Well, Jamie, you walked us through this whole difference. We've kind of alluded to it already, but between tolerance and consent, and then between being nice and being kind.
Yeah.
And first, I want to get y'all's thoughts on how we tend to equate being nice and or kind to someone with being tolerant or consenting to them and their behavior, or who they are as people.
Yeah.
So where do you think our acceptance of outrage or even disassociation, dare I say, shunning, comes from? Like, when we see Jesus model such inclusivity, what is it that acceptable Christian behavior rooted in? Like, why do we think it's acceptable for us to be rude and ugly to people?
I think I don't know the answer to, I don't know how to reconcile those two things, except that I know there's so much, we do have an understanding of right and wrong and sinfulness and not. And so I think we feel as if, in some way, if we're not towing that line for others, that somehow we're complicit. And there are times, like it gets brought up regularly, like the Bonhoeffer thing, where the church in Germany, for the most part, went along. They did not stand up and speak out against what was happening in their country's politics, and look where it led. It was a catastrophe. And were they morally complicit in not being the conscience of their country? So like there are examples that you can pull that you can say, well, yeah, that's a pretty solid case for we should probably stand up. But where you draw that line, I think is so individualized. And so, I think people do it in lots of ways that Jesus did not. And even that, even that is interesting. Like the Bonhoeffer example, part of what he did, he attempted to assassinate Hitler. And I'm not sure you can square that
right.
biblically, even though, like what he was standing up against was, it was so evil. Yeah. And yet I'm not sure
Non-violent.
I'm not
is
sure,
kind of
you know,
the
like
Jesus thing.
Paul's in an environment that's very harsh against Christianity, and he never once he says God's put people in place to maintain order, and you should pray for your leaders.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's a complicated thing. And, you know, the love your enemy thing of Jesus, it's so inconvenient. And if you play that out, like into our modern day, you know, social, cultural things that are happening, enemies are those who are opposed. That would be, you know, morally opposed, and as well as other things. And so, like, if we're to love them, I'm not sure it is our place to draw those hard lines. And of course, Jesus, you know, very famously was accused of being a drunkard and, you know, a morally compromised person because of the people that he associated with. And yet that is what God did when he stepped into our world. So yeah, I get the uncomfortable ability of, you know, drawing these lines and or not drawing those lines and not speaking up when you see something that you think is wrong or you know is wrong. But I guess I always revert back to that whole thing of that's not really my job though. That's the Holy Spirit's job to convict people. And so my job is just to model Jesus, and Jesus went to the cross and didn't raise his fist, and he certainly could have undone that whole thing, but he didn't.
Yeah.
So
I'm thinking of like God's goodness. Joel talked a lot about that. That's I'm dropping a little
yes,
Easter egg here. Yes. We'll talk about Joel more in a moment. But God's goodness, like, and I think that's where we get so confused about it. Rules make it easier for us, right?
So much easier.
If we know what right looks like,
yes,
we know how to approach it.
Yep.
And then, you know, and I'm thinking for a person, like when I admire somebody, I'm watching that person and I want to take on these behaviors that I'm seeing and this energy that they have. And we try to find the path of least resistance to that. So instead of mirroring Jesus, we mimic Jesus. And then we don't understand how we got to this behavior that we're doing that is good. Because, right, it's something that happens inside of us and then it just flows out. That's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But if we're doing the kindness up front, outside, without what's going on the inside, you're going to get so mad when your kindness doesn't yield the kind of response you expect. Right. Because, right, God blesses all of our effort to love people. But if I do something kind to you and you behave badly, that tells me the problem is here. Right. And I can't. Yeah. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah. And that's such a good example, because then the other side of that would be like if your kindness is rejected in some kind of way, well, then there's the fruit of patience, and then you're wanting to call them out, and there's the fruit of self-control, and you know
they all have to work
they
together.
all have to work together.
Yeah.
So, that's a little bit where my thoughts went with it. Kind of on the flip side, I think when we equate these things, it leads to we put at risk certain boundaries that we've already established in some of these relationships. Kind of getting that mindset with like, oh, that's just how this person is. That's how he or she is, and not want to act on that. And I think that's like a dangerous thing to think of that can lead to outrage and disassociation in relationships. And I just think that. We shouldn't ignore that when that comes up, when our kindness is rejected or boundaries have been broken. I don't think that's what Jesus would have modeled either. So, yeah.
So, let's chat a little bit about the difference specifically between nice and kind. Jamie, you said that you could talk about this because you are therapist certified and before we get into that, we can all vouch for that because
so
we actually had the privilege of meeting your therapist,
Yeah.
Joel,
Yes.
this past week.
Yes.
So we got this opportunity to have
I've been
the REST
talking about
initiative.
I've been talking about
come
my
in.
therapist now for
Yes.
several years.
So you've mentioned Joel several times.
Yes.
We've talked about him on the pod before. He has taught us all to not make things weird.
Yes, he has.
So we had the REST initiative there. That's who Joel is with. And we had just this awesome opportunity to have him and Mike come and be with our staff on Thursday and our staff and spouses on Wednesday night. And it was just an amazing time. So before we get into nice and kindness, do you guys have anything you want to just chat about that experience a little bit? Jamie, how was it meeting
Yeah,
your boy
it was very cool to meet Joel face to face.
Check Facebook if you'd like the evidence.
So, because I meet virtually with him. He lives in Texas. And so since 2022, I've been meeting with him sometimes twice a month, most of the time, the last year or so, just once a month. And, he's a great person, and he's exactly who he is when I meet with him. And it was super fun to be able to give him a hug and just be able to be with him and to watch him pour into others on the team was just so cool.
Yeah.
I had low expectations. Okay. We're a staff of 20. We are a motley crew, different experiences, different traumas, different associations, even different belief systems. I thought, how on earth we're going to sit, and we sat like lecture style, 2 rows of 10 chairs facing a TV screen and our resident experts before us. And we mostly just listened. Yeah. And I thought, ain't no way we're going to get anything out of this. But I was presented information that I had never considered before. And I felt connected to myself just listening mostly. I can't not say nothing. So I was participative. But I also felt connected to the people sitting next to me and in front of me. Like, even though there wasn't there was a lot of introspection going on, a lot of, I felt the thinking in the room. And it was just nice to feel like we were all just kind of having this experience together and dealing with some heavy ideas in our own way, but together. Mm-hmm. I think it's so important, when we address things that are hard, that loneliness comes with that. It's isolating when we feel yucky things. Mm-hmm. And so just even experiencing that in community, even though we didn't do a ton of small group work or staff work, it was just so nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of blown away by it. It was great. Great having the spouses there with you on, the night before we had dinner together, and they shared some with us there. But the day we spent together on Thursday, 2 things really stood out to me. One is this idea of containment and setting up boundaries in your everyday life. I struggle with that. I'm a 2. So I am
on
emotionally,
on
the Enneagram, I'm a 2, and I'm emotionally invested in my relationships heavily. And one thing he said was, you're so emotionally invested that you lose yourself. Yeah. And I immediately thought that breeds going home to my family every day, in not the greatest way. I'm drained. Yeah. Everything like that. I'm not investing in them like I need to be. And then the other was, he explained our optimal box and what's, how the characteristics, what life is like when we're in that optimal box, how we can grow that, and then what it looks like when we're outside those boxes. Yeah. And one of the examples he gave was with our kids. You can get outside the box in a hyper way, being very elevated and high. And he's like, that's, your kids are doing something wrong, and you are quick to meet them right there in that hyper state to discipline them. That checks out. Your kids also enter outside of their box into a hypo state, a lower state. Something's going wrong with them. And how often do we as parents, how quick are we to jump outside of our box to meet them there? Right. When something's going on. No, we react when they're doing something wrong.
Stop feeling.
Yeah, what do we do
Child,
when
go to your
something's
room.
going wrong in our kids' life?
Yeah. Yeah, it's so great. They're all about coming alongside people that serve in ministry and just kind of filling them up. And that's what the Rest Initiative is all about. And so we're just really excited to continue to pour into our staff through their ministry. And we're looking forward to more opportunities to be with them. So anyway, back to nice versus kind. I loved your explanation of using your example of your Airbnb guest. So can you guys think of a time when you were one but not the other? Like a time when you were maybe nice but not kind, or kind but not nice, and how that plays out?
How much time do we have?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm so nice.
Yes.
So yeah, that just pings me, because and it is like it's a self-obsessive behavior. But yeah, I default to that. Like that is 100% my go-to. So I could give a list
because the
all
nice,
day
like
long of that.
you were explaining, is self-serving. It's not others focused.
It's not others focused. It's keeping me from being in situations that make me uncomfortable.
Right.
So I just keep it nice and floaty, so I don't have to deal with any turbulence.
Yeah, and the example you gave was the lady that gave you the 5-star review anyways, but noted about the broken bed.
Yeah,
Place to sleep, but loved it. Thank you.
yeah,
So nice.
just avoided that side of the bed. I'm not kidding. I think one of them slept on the couch. We're so nice.
So nice.
They did let us know, which was also helpful.
Yeah.
So
Kind.
very kind.
Yeah. Like Heather, I don't really struggle with niceness. It's not in my wheelhouse basically at all. But the area I do struggle with is kind of the beyond the kindness. I don't know I haven't had enough time to think about like a general population way to term that. But if you've got niceness over here and then where you don't make any waves, you protect yourself from any kind of conflict, but then it exacerbates everything in a negative way. And then you've got kindness where you say truth and you're also loving to someone. And then over here, you've got truth and then you're real mean to somebody.
Right.
So like, I don't feel safe riding in the car with you is not kind. I just learned that. So, as we're talking about being kind.
Wait, you learned that someone doesn't feel safe riding in the car with you?
That's another podcast for another time. I have another data point on why I shouldn't be driving, period, full stop. And that's I almost
She almost took me out.
Oh,
on
gee.
my motorcycle.
Oh, gosh.
Oh boy.
Well, she pulls into a parking lot and just stalls. So I just go around her, and then she decides
I'll
I'm
go
going to
that way.
and I'm not going to use blinkers or anything. I'm just going to.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
My worst fear as a child was throwing up on the school bus. My worst fear as an adult is hitting a motorcyclist with my car.
You almost did it.
I almost.
Oh, my gosh, Adrian.
I also backed out of a parking spot with Lee Whitehorn only halfway in the car. The fat man's not aboard. The fat man's not aboard, he says. Oh, gosh, I shouldn't be driving.
He says.
I shouldn't be driving. Whoa now. I think my time is up. I'm not going to be invited back, everyone. I hope you're enjoying this.
Okay. With that, you then walked us through one of my favorite passages in Scripture.
Moving on.
Jamie now has the funeral giggles.
Sorry, everyone.
Everyone,
I
welcome.
hope you're watching. I hope you're watching,
This is what happens
everyone.
when Jamie has to do a funeral.
It's true.
It's true. He gets the giggles. He can't recover. We have to give him a minute.
Do we have
He starts crying.
segue music?
But it's not a sad cry.
Just get that feeling of
It's
love.
hysterical laughter crying. It's the inappropriate.
It's because he's picturing Lee right now.
Adrian, what have you
So
done?
sorry. I came in hot today.
Well, that's all we have time for today.
Right. Sorry.
I invited you to a meeting.
I'm working on it. Let's go.
Working on it.
Okay.
He's working on it.
Okay.
the Samaritan woman. Are
Yes.
you ready to talk
I'm ready.
about
Let's
her?
go.
Okay. She's meeting Jesus at the well.
She is. It's noon.
They're going to have a conversation. Would you be able to tell us a succinct Stuart Notes version of the story? What's happening? What is happening when she meets Jesus at the well?
So Jesus and his band of followers are making their way from one part of Israel to another. They have to go through Samaria. They don't really have to, but they do. They make their way through Samaria, and it's noontime. They're nomads basically, so they don't have a place to stay. They don't have a normal routine of things. So it's a road trip. I mean, think road trip, and you're hungry, and it's time to stop, and so that's what they do. They stop, leave Jesus at the well. He's tired, and they're like, Jesus, we got this. You stay here. We're going to go grab some food. We'll be right back. And while they are in town, this woman comes to the well to get some water, and she's there to avoid people. And Jesus is there, and I'm sure she thinks she's just going to get there, get her water, and leave, because certainly this guy's not going to talk to me.
This Jewish man is not going to talk to her.
And that's exactly what happens. She comes to the well, and Jesus engages her in conversation.
Yeah. So this whole story really set up our big idea for the day, which was kindness crosses lines, not people.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering how hearing this story challenges the way you all think about justice, mercy, and personal accountability.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to just like point a finger. It's a challenging message for me. But as I was teaching the message and looking around the room, I thought to myself, man, if someone's actually listening to what I'm saying, which I'm under no delusion that people are actually really listening, but this is really shaking foundationally where people are.
Yeah. Yeah, and thinking of this story, I had a thought that actions speak louder than words. I know in my heart, I really do, that a person's race, their religious belief, their gender, it doesn't influence or drive my relationship or my behavior towards someone. But when we got to the point of chatting through crossing the lines, I'm like, it was convicted. Like, what am I doing to cross any lines in these relationships? How often do I have dinner with people that don't align with me spiritually or don't look like me? And that's convicting. Yeah. I think you challenged us in that very way a while back in a message to invite to dinner and meet them on that need. How do we, like that? That's growing God's kingdom right there. That's how it spreads.
I love that this is a helpful example of a story where you really need to know more than the scripture offers at face value to really get the weight of what's going on here. This lady was there at that time because there was if she wanted water, that's when she had to do that.
Right.
And it drew attention to sus behavior that she's doing when she's in her everyday life, that everybody knows it. She can't escape her shame.
Yeah.
And she probably had some like deep concerns about why this random singular dude was coming up. She was probably very fearful.
Yeah.
People who are taken advantage of feel fearful of getting taken advantage of by everybody they encounter. Yeah. So just to plug that if you don't have a study Bible that you really enjoy, they are inexpensive and accessible, and we can help you get in that one of those in your hands. But just the mercy part for me, it's like when people behave badly, my instinct is, you know better than to behave like that. Why are you behaving like that? But I don't really want to know why you're behaving like that. I just want you to stop. Everybody has so much hurt. That's what I'm learning in my therapy.
Right.
Everybody is recovering from trauma they don't even know they endured.
Right.
how can we not show mercy to everyone in every moment?
Yeah.
It's what we talked about last week. You are not your worst moment.
Right.
Yeah.
You behaved badly in a moment, but that isn't who you are. And just, you repeated a couple of times and you slowed down the message at this point when you said, the Father is looking for you.
Right.
And to just think about this perfect God who doesn't need
Right.
us, doesn't need anything from us, doesn't need our worship, doesn't need our praise, doesn't need a fan, doesn't
Right.
need one.
Right.
He is looking
Yeah.
for us. And we can be the hands and feet of that when we look
Right.
for others. So, like, we talk about all these things we can do to be kind, honest, and also loving. But this starting a conversation with somebody, that's what I keep coming back to. The next time you're at Walmart, look for somebody who looks like they need to have a conversation with somebody.
Yep.
And just, hey, are you trying to pick the best cereal? This is my favorite. I hope you have a great day. Or,
Yeah.
do you need some help getting out of your, whatever it is. Like, we need to make an effort to connect with people.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is how we can do that.
Yeah. Which I think that just leads right into like this last part that I want to talk about. And we gave out these really cool invite cards this
Yeah.
week. A lot of times we have like our series cards that we hand out and it has really great information on, but these cards this week were perforated. So Ad, you want to talk about those for a sec and just what they were like and what the point is?
Yeah, the point is always that when you are done sitting in the auditorium of a believer's experience, that you are ready to do something because of what you've learned, because of what God how he showed up for you. Maybe it wasn't even something that you or Jamie said, but in that space, you were prompted to take some action. And here at Believers, we try to make it so easy to be active in your Christianity. We have invite projects all the time.
Yep.
We have community events all the time. And we encourage you and equip you to talk to people, to have these conversations at Walmart all the time. So this particular invite card, you break off the top part, you review the bottom part that gives you some encouragement and some ideas.
It's like a roadmap.
Yeah. About how, let's do something kind right now.
Yep.
If you can, do this kindness to a specific person and also include inviting them to join you for church that morning. And bonus, if you are a person who is influencer in any kind of way and you like to share all of the great things you're doing with your church on your social media platforms, do a hashtag. Post a picture of you holding up this little card. I am making an effort to increase my kindness.
Yep.
Or bring it back to church and share it with us at the outreach board.
right.
Just making it easier for you to increase your habit of kindness.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love
So good. And I think a lot of times what happens is we overcomplicate
Right.
what this has to look like. Like we overcomplicate like an invite project. We overcomplicate what kindness even is. So it feels daunting. It feels like, oh, this is just going to be too much for me to take on this week. Like our lives already feel so full. Our lives feel hectic, chaotic. They feel like the psalm we read this morning, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, you gave a great example of how to be kind, but do you have some more? Like, let's just throw out a few more ideas of how can we be kind this week? How can we show some kindness?
So I have a neighbor who is just one of the kindest people. And I the whole time I've been in this house, almost 19 years, I think we've been there, something like that. This guy's lived next door and he's just the sweetest guy. And one of the things that he does, and I try to beat him and I can't, is he takes all the trash cans back in on trash day from not just my house, but like 4 houses in a row. He just goes down the street, pulls everyone's trash back, it's such a nice thing. I get home from work, it's already been done, you know? And it's just a simple thing, but it's a very easy way to show kindness to a neighbor. And there's lots of little things along those lines that you can do that, you know, whether it's like when I mow my lawn, I have a property line that I could, if I followed my property line, there would be like a foot or
18
two on the
inches.
side of this neighbor's driveway, the other neighbor's driveway that would get uncut. And
Do you go ahead and do it?
well, yes, I think it's the right thing. You know,
You
like,
don't even charge them, do
it's
you?
a little thing, but like, but I drive by houses all the time where that yard
Yes.
line is so
Yes.
like you can tell they stopped
Yes.
seeding at the line,
Right.
you know, like I'm not going to show any generosity towards my neighbor. So those are just little things that you can do that don't take you out of your way all that much, 18 inches. And it's just kind.
Yeah.
Here's something. When something goes badly at a restaurant or the gas station or the grocery store
Or in Charlotte.
or in Charlotte once upon a time, like tempering, like coming at kindness in a removing your anger from it instead of even just looking for something extra to do. Often just removing something from the equation is the way you can be kind.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I think Adrian did a great job touching on some ways we could be kind out and about in our normal daily, you know, going to the grocery store and stuff. But Jamie, you touched on one of the bigger buckets of these relationships that we can cultivate more in our neighbors. That's a big one. And yesterday you touched on another similar one, like who's the person at work that's been on your heart. And I just wanted to say, like, don't forget you can pray through this as well.
Yeah.
Like, pray for these opportunities to be revealed, to show kindness. Pray for these relationships.
Yep.
And the ones that are on your heart, take action on it and have those conversations. Just last week, I did something similar. My neighbor has towed that line and like gone over into my property just to cut a little more grass, show a little bit of kindness on my side. And he's a truck driver. So last week, I'm like, why have I not returned this favor to Ted yet? And I went over there and just told him, like, man, anytime you're gone, he's gone like weeks at a time. Anytime you're gone, shoot me a text. I'll cut your grass. So like knowing those relationships, opportunities will start popping up.
Yeah. So good. Well, we know it's a holiday weekend coming up, but you are not going to want to miss another Sunday of What Our World Needs Now. So we will be here at 9 and 10:45, and we would love to see you and your guests. We will have seats ready for you, and if you happen to not be in town, of course, we will have the service online at 1 o'clock, and you can enjoy it there. So until then, go be love and kindness. Thanks for being here, friends. We will see you next week.